Picture this. A pope stands before thousands of knights. He promises them instant heaven if they die fighting. But here's the twist. Many of these holy warriors were chasing land, gold, and power. So what were the Crusades really about? The Crusades began with genuine religious passion. Pope Urban II launched the First Crusade in 1095. He called it a holy war to reclaim Jerusalem. Think about your favorite sports team. Imagine someone took over your home stadium. You want it back, right? That's how many Christians felt about Jerusalem. Muslims had controlled the city since 638 CE. Christians saw this as their sacred duty. Medieval people lived very religious lives. Going to church wasn't just on Sunday morning. It shaped everything they did. Death was always close. Plagues killed families overnight. War destroyed entire villages. People desperately wanted salvation. The Pope offered something incredible. Fight in the Crusades, and your sins are forgiven. Die fighting and go straight to heaven. No questions asked. This wasn't just marketing. People truly believed it. Chronicles from the time show real faith. Crusaders sold everything they owned. They left comfortable lives behind. Many never expected to return home. Some walked thousands of miles to reach the Holy Land. Peter the Hermit led the People's Crusade in 1096. Thousands of poor peasants followed him. They had no military training. Most died before reaching Jerusalem, but they truly believed God wanted this. The capture of Jerusalem in 1099 seemed to prove God's blessing. Crusaders saw their victory as divine intervention. They established Christian kingdoms in the Middle East. This reinforced their religious beliefs. Even later crusades showed religious motivation. The Third Crusade happened after Saladin retook Jerusalem. Kings like Richard the Lionheart genuinely wanted to restore Christian rule. They spent fortunes and risked their lives. Religious orders like the Knights Templar emerged. These warrior monks took holy vows. They combined fighting with prayer. Their entire existence centered on religious warfare. But here's the key question. If religion was so important, why did Crusaders sometimes fight other Christians? Why did they attack Constantinople in 1204? Was faith their only motivation? Politics shaped the Crusades just as much as religion. European nobles saw expansion opportunities. The Byzantine Empire asked for help against Muslim armies. But Western leaders had their agendas. Think about a group project at school. Everyone says they want the same grade. But some people also want to look good to the teacher. They have multiple reasons for participating. Medieval nobles were similar. Pope Urban II wasn't just thinking about Jerusalem. He wanted to unite Western Christianity under his leadership. The Eastern Orthodox Church had split from Rome in 1054. A successful crusade could heal this division. It would make the Pope the ultimate Christian leader. European kings used the Crusades for political gain. They could send away troublesome nobles. Younger sons who couldn't inherit land could find new territories. The Crusades became a pressure release valve for European society. The Fourth Crusade shows politics. Crusaders ran out of money in Venice. The Venetians made a deal. Help us attack our rival Constantinople. We'll transport you for free. The Crusaders agreed and sacked a Christian city. This wasn't about religion anymore. It was pure politics and economics. Venice wanted to control the Eastern Mediterranean trade. The Crusaders wanted to continue their journey. They made a practical business arrangement. Norman nobles in southern Italy joined the early Crusades. They were already fighting Muslims in Sicily. The Crusades gave religious cover for territorial expansion. Bohemond of Taranto carved out the Principality of Antioch. He never intended to return home. The Crusader states became feudal kingdoms. Lords distributed land to loyal followers. They built castles and collected taxes. This looked exactly like European politics. Religion became secondary to governing. Later crusades often targeted political enemies. The Albigensian Crusade attacked French heretics. The Northern Crusades conquered pagan Baltic peoples. These weren't about Jerusalem at all. They were about expanding Christian political control. Even within Crusader armies, politics mattered. Different national groups competed for leadership. French, German, and Italian nobles fought among themselves. They care more about prestige than cooperation. The military orders accumulated vast wealth and land. The Knights Templar became Europe's biggest bankers. They used their religious status for political and economic power. So here's the question. When religious goals served political purposes, which motivation was stronger? Money drove many crusade participants more than faith. The expeditions cost enormous amounts, but they also offered huge potential profits. Trade routes, plunder, and new lands attracted many participants. Imagine you heard about a gold rush. Some people go for adventure. Others go to get rich. The Crusades were medieval Europe's gold rush. Everyone had different reasons for joining. Italian merchants saw massive opportunities. Venice, Genoa, and Pisa competed for Eastern trade. The Crusades opened new commercial routes. Spices, silk, and precious goods flowed through their ports. These cities grew incredibly wealthy. Venice particularly benefited from Crusader transportation needs. They charged huge fees to carry armies. The Fourth Crusade's diversion to Constantinople wasn't accidental. Venice engineered it for commercial advantage. They gained permanent trading privileges in the Byzantine Empire. Individual crusaders also sought wealth. Younger sons inherited nothing in Europe. The East offered chances for land and riches. Many never planned to return home. They wanted to establish themselves as Eastern lords. Plunder was a major motivation. Medieval armies lived off captured wealth. Successful cities paid enormous ransoms. The sack of Jerusalem in 1099 made many crusaders rich. They sent treasures back to Europe. The Crusader states developed profitable economies. They taxed trade between East and West. European pilgrims spent money on food and lodging. Local agriculture fed growing populations. Economic success attracted more settlers. Banking systems emerged around Crusade financing. The Knights Templar pioneered international banking. Pilgrims deposited money in Europe and withdrew it in the East. This prevented robbery and created profit. The Templars became incredibly wealthy. But economics also caused problems. The cost of maintaining Crusader armies was enormous. European kingdoms went into debt. Later Crusades struggled with funding. Economic reality limited military success. Some Crusades targeted wealthy regions for purely economic reasons. The sack of Constantinople in 1204 had nothing to do with Jerusalem. The Crusaders wanted Byzantine gold and treasures. They got them. Muslim cities often paid tribute instead of fighting. This was cheaper than warfare. Crusader lords preferred a steady income to risky battles. Economics trumped religious goals. The decline of the Crusader states partly resulted from economic changes. New trade routes bypassed the eastern Mediterranean. The profits that sustained Christian kingdoms disappeared. But here's the important question. If the Crusades were about money, why did so many poor people participate? The truth about Crusade motivations isn't simple. Different people had different reasons. These motivations are often mixed. Religion, politics, and economics all played important roles. Think about why people join the military today. Some want to serve their country. Others need money for college. Many have multiple reasons. Medieval crusaders were equally complex. Their motivations overlapped and changed over time. Individual crusaders often had mixed motives. A knight might genuinely believe in a religious cause, but he also wanted land for his younger brother. The same person could be both faithful and ambitious. These weren't contradictory motivations. The context changed over 200 years of crusading. Early crusades emphasized religious themes more strongly. Later expeditions became more obviously political and economic. The Fourth Crusade's attack on Constantinople showed how far things had shifted. Different social classes had different motivations. Poor peasants in the People's Crusade were mostly religious. They had nothing to gain economically. Noble knights combined faith with hopes for advancement. Merchants focused on trade opportunities. Even within single expeditions, motivations varied widely. The First Crusade included genuine pilgrims and land-hungry nobles. Some participants left after capturing Jerusalem. Others stayed to build kingdoms. Their different goals shaped their actions. The church itself had mixed motivations. Popes genuinely wanted to help Eastern Christians, but they also sought to increase papal authority. They used crusading ideology to fight political enemies in Europe. Religious and political goals are completely intertwined. Modern historians debate these questions constantly. Some emphasize religious motivation. Others focus on economic and political factors. The evidence supports both interpretations. The reality was probably somewhere in between. Regional differences mattered too. Italian city-states focused on trade benefits. French nobles sought military glory and land. German participants often had different political pressures. Geography shaped motivation. The legacy of the Crusades reflects this complexity. Christians remember them as religious wars. Muslims see them as Western imperialism. Both perspectives contain truth. The Crusades were religious, political, and economic simultaneously. Understanding this complexity helps us avoid simple answers. History is usually more complicated than it first appears. People's motivations are rarely pure or single-minded. What matters most is recognizing that historical events have multiple causes and meanings. So what do you think was the strongest motivation? Was it faith, power, or money? The Crusades weren't just holy wars or political conquests. They were both and more. Religious faith genuinely motivated many participants. Political ambitions drove noble leaders and popes. Economic opportunities attracted merchants and landless knights. All these factors worked together over 2 centuries. Understanding this complexity helps us see how major historical events happen. They're usually more complicated than simple explanations suggest. What's your take on Crusader motivations? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more history content.